I was one of those people that didn't have one lunchtime free because I was running around everywhere just thinking back. It was probably me just trying to keep myself busy and distract myself from reality or what was really going on. But yeah, high school was great, but it also gave me a lot of issues I'll be dealing with for the rest of my life.
From the outside looking in, the life of an LGBT young person today can truly seem like all rainbows. But for many, especially those who have grown up in and around Christianity, life is more difficult. Many of these young people will come to question their identity, seeking a circle or community that they could call home. As journalists, we questioned how Christianity may help or hinder these teens and their journey for belonging. We sought to find those who have struggled within both the Christian and rainbow world. We wanted to know what paints their identity and what pushes them forward into the light.
My name is Sam Tabak. I'm a 19-year-old male. My sexuality is just I love who I love.
So, my name's Raina, I'm 20 years old, I'm bisexual.
For Sam, going to a Christian school was difficult. He says he faced bullying almost every day, including having a song made up about him during lunchtime, which mocked him for being gay, despite not being out.
School really embedded in me negative thought processes towards people that aren't straight. Before I even realised that I wasn't straight, so kind of when I came to terms with it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually this word that people are using against me as an insult. Like, they would make jokes about it every day. Like, there's no doubt that I'd turn up to school and hear something negative said about the LGBT community.
Sam realised he wasn't straight around the age of 13, but says he couldn't come out to anyone until many years later.
There would definitely be times when I'd just be in bed crying, not knowing what to do, just realising actually I can't ignore this forever. Just feeling like I was the only one. It definitely would have been better to have some friends that didn't identify as straight. I think that would have made my journey a lot easier.
Sam managed to come out this year to close friends and family and says it was a massive weight off his shoulders.
I kind of told one person and then I got really excited, and all of a sudden I started wearing eyeshadow, buying far too many crop tops, and then buying heels. I just could not wait to just express the side of me that I couldn't hold in anymore.
But despite feeling happy and confident, things have not been all smooth sailing since then.
I was walking out of bar one night and I was with a friend and he was bi. We weren't doing anything, we were just walking out, and these two guys walked past us and they said, "What's wrong with these two?" And I was having a great night, and I let it get to me, and all that confidence just went like that.
Sam says he no longer identifies as a Christian because of what happened in his life, but wants to go back to church when it becomes a more accepting place.
I would love faith to work out. Whenever I go past my church, I get really anxious. My heart rate just increases. I get really tense. I feel upset and it all comes back to me. Because I am grateful for some things that the church gave me. So it would be nice to go back and be a part of the worship team, be able to be a part of the LGBT community and Christian. The day I go back to church is the day that I can walk in heels, face full of makeup, in a cute skirt and not be looked at.
For Raina, she chose to attend church at intermediate age after having a great time at youth group.
At first it was just really fun because it was this youth group that wasn't really to do with church or Christianity, it was just run by a church. And then I just slowly started going to church and I had fun, and it was really cool learning about everything because I was never raised in a super Christian family, so it was quite cool learning about this religion and meeting people. And
Raina realised she wasn't straight in her teen years, but says she couldn't come out initially because of her Christian identity.
When I actually was like, okay, I'm bisexual, it was a bit freaky just because of the Christian side of things. I felt like two big parts of me, being a Christian and being bisexual, were just completely clashing. So I didn't really know how to deal with it, I didn't really know how to feel. I was like, does this make me a bad Christian, or it was kind of confusing for a little while.
Raina says she spoke to her youth leader about being LGBT and was confused by the answers she was given.
I remember talking to youth leaders about it, and this was when I was starting to realise it myself, but I didn't tell them that I was bisexual. And yeah, I just remember them saying, oh, God doesn't hate them, he just doesn't like what they're doing. And it was always, we as Christians just need to turn them to God. And it was always like they were separating the two. And like inside I was like, oh, but what if I'm both, you know?
Raina says it wasn't until year 13 when she decided enough was enough with traditional Christianity.
I remember the last church service I went to, the pastor was standing on stage and he was listing all these bad things in the world, and he was like, terrorism, gay marriage is legal, da-da-da. And then when I heard that, that was like a big, like, I don't think I want to come here anymore. And I'm pretty sure that was the last church service I went to.
Raina says she is now a lot happier and considers herself agnostic.
As soon as I got out of high school, I was a lot more sure in myself, and I realised that it's not black and white. Like, you don't have to be not straight and then not a Christian. Like, you can have your own understanding and interpretation of whatever you've learnt. And I'm definitely still working out my understanding of what I believe in as well.
After hearing the stories of these young people, we wanted to hear from those who have been in both the Christian and LGBT communities for a long time. As journalists, we wanted to know how the two groups interact in the modern era. So we turned to people like openly gay journalist Andrew McFarlane. He himself struggled with coming out because he attended a Christian school in Christchurch.
I sort of clicked about my sexuality towards the end of year 12, and then I chose not to come out at high school because I knew it would be easier for myself not to. It was no secret that there were people who were, vocally anti-LGBT, and so for me, I was like, you know what, let's make the final year of high school a lot easier.
For Andrew, the opportunity to help other people in the Christian and LGBT community came when he did a story on gay conversion therapy for the TVNZ Sunday programme.
The opportunity to do a story on it was kind of like, oh, okay, I can see how this is sort of my chance to contribute. And that was sort of the crux of it for me. I think I kind of went, I'm in a fairly privileged position being in the media, and I can choose to do a story on almost anything and bring it to kind of the forefront, or to show it to people and say, hey, here's an issue we need to talk about. So by being gay, by being confident in my sexuality, that's a privilege that a lot of people don't have. So for me, that was kind of the moment where I went, yep, and I can do something about it.
Associate Pastor at Hope Hornby Presbyterian Church, Marty Redhead, believes LGBT young people may be hesitant to come back to church over being hurt in the past.
They are part of the LGBTQI community, and they look at the church, then they probably have some historic feelings towards the church, which I'm not sure would be so true now. I think certainly in the past 10, 15, 20 years ago, as the church, we've been quite vocal against the LGBT community. I believe that that voice has died down, and that I would like to hope that most churches would take a posture of open arms and welcome to their community.
Pastor Marty believes the church should look at the LGBT community with an open heart and open mind.
I've got a real pastoral heart. I love people, and so when someone sits and tells me their story, or someone sits and tells me about their wrestle, the space that they find themselves in, I mean, personally, I just have kind of love and compassion and kind of go, I hear you. But it can be a huge source of pain for families and for young people, for anyone really. And as the church, as a pastor, you want to help people. You want to embrace people, and love them in that pain, in that space.
But for Pastor Matthew Jack of Knox Presbyterian, he has a more personal experience with the LGBT community and Christianity. He is the only openly gay pastor in over 400 Presbyterian churches around New Zealand, and understands the pain some LGBT young people go through in these churches.
I've been to various events at other churches where I've listened to what's been saying, and it's not friendly. And I think I'm okay with that because I'm an older gay person, and I'm not currently coming to terms with myself and how I feel about my sexuality. I think if you're a vulnerable younger person, you don't want to be around that kind of unhelpful, judgmental kind of language. It's just bordering on dangerous.
Pastor Matthews says currently Presbyterian laws will not allow for any more LGBT leaders after him.
And the official position of the church is that rainbow people will not be trained for leadership anymore. But I'm here on a grandparent clause, which means when I go, no more of my kind will come. I'll carry on serving as I can, and when I can't anymore, then I won't. And I will wait for further generations of Presbyterians to work out what to do next.
Pastor Matthews says Knox has shown their support for the rainbow community by allowing them to get married in his church.
For us, it's both a matter of human rights and equal treatment of people, but it's also a theological necessity for us, really, because when we look at how Jesus lived among the people and how he tended to work with those who other people dismissed, we've always seen at the heart of the Christian life and task the business of including people rather than cutting them off.
He says they've also decided to show their support through a small rainbow flag within their church. However, Matthew says some Christian couples who wish to get married in the church took objection to the statement.
We noticed quite often, as people were setting up for their weddings, that our rainbow flag, small and subtle though it was, was being put away. And we found ourselves sort of thinking, oh, well, we've welcomed you, we welcome everyone, and that's actually what the flag says. We feel troubled that you want to quieten what we feel is important to say subtly with our little flag. So we said, no, if you want to use our church, it comes with the flag.
Pastor Matthew believes the best thing Christians can do for the young LGBT community is to love them and show them kindness.
Listen, care, don't panic. If sexuality is a problem for you and you find yourself talking to someone who is trying to work out who they are, try leaning on the old Christian conviction that, Lord, when did we see you? The contention is that the person of Christ is in these vulnerable people who need you. If you can't do it for the person, because you're uncomfortable with the person, do it for the Christ within them.
Pastor Matthew believes that Christ is in each and every one of us, no matter what our sexuality may be. And despite the friction between the two communities, there is a promise of a better future. But for Sam and Raina, all they are looking for now is acceptance and love for themselves and for others.
Yeah, I really don't care where I am, as long as I'm accepting myself and I'm honest.
Yeah, I guess it literally, as cheesy as it sounds, literally just comes down to loving other people.